Has it ever crossed your mind that asthma can be caused by a fear of abandonment and fear of failure? Because that's what the scientific research shows. Whenever someone has an asthmatic attack or some kind of childhood asthma, or even going into their adult life, a lot of times when we look at the total person, like what Hippocrates talked about, healing the person that has the disease and not just healing the disease as an isolated problem. When we heal the person and we look deeper into the root causes that are in your thoughts, in an unresolved traumas in your lives, and perhaps some toxins that they've been unknowingly consuming, whether it's through the air, through the food, through the water, all these things are very much within the realm of the 3T framework that I have formulated to heal any disease, to bring about 100% healing. And when we talk about the standard of healing, we need to understand that when we heal the person, it's no longer just patient care anymore. It actually involves pastoral care, the shepherd taking care of the sheep. And because when it comes to healing the person, there is often a lot of time that is needed. There's a lot of counseling that's needed. There's actually a lot of vulnerability needed. So I just want to applaud you. I want to honor you. If you click this video, okay, it's just going to take about the next 4 to 5 minutes. But if you could actually click this video, you're one of the minority of people who've actually said, I want to go deeper. I want to seek a deeper answer to what I've been used to. Perhaps your current healthcare professional has given you answers to your asthma, and you've never thought that you could ever get over asthma. Perhaps you have been given an inhaler to think that you are stuck with asthma for good. It's probably become your normal. And I want to just declare and say to you that that is not normal. God did not design you for disease. And in fact, that was his plan A. But whenever someone has asthma or some kind of other disease, but for this video in particular, when you have asthma, you got to understand that God wants you to heal as per his design. And when he's designed you, it's for you to function in spirit, soul, and body. So when we consider the entire person, we're not just looking at the body with disease, but we're actually looking at the soul of the person. That includes your thoughts, your will, your emotions, right? And it also involves some spirit of the spiritual realm. And to really break it down for the lay person who doesn't understand the spiritual realm, that is the unseen realm, but really we break it down into two things. You're either living out of love, which is unconditional, it always gives, it's always patient, it's always serving, it's got no bitterness, no unforgiveness. You are living in a position, or you're functioning, operating in your life from a position of love, unconditional love, the way God loved us. Or are you living from a place of fear? Fear means that there is a circumstance in the past, don't matter how long ago, that has caused you to feel anxious and stressful about something that has not yet come. So you are always living in apprehension, living in this stress mode that something bad is going to happen to you. So in the case of asthma, that fear is abandonment and fear of failure. And I just want to talk to you about the 3 T's real quick: the thoughts, the traumas, and the toxin. That is how I have, by the grace of God, I've distilled the spirit, soul, body framework, which is very much a Christianese thing to say, but really to apply it to all people of different races, different languages, different religion. Understanding thoughts, traumas, and toxins are really a good framework to go by. So I'm going to talk about the first T, thoughts. The Bible says that Proverbs 23 verse 7 says, as a man thinketh in his heart, so he will be. So if you think about asthma, the fear of failure and the fear of abandonment, when someone has this fear of maybe their father figure was not around, because your fathers are the ones that give the children identity and security. And if that father figure was not present, or perhaps in school the kid faced some kind of rejection, or even into the adulthood, you face rejection from your colleagues, from your parents, from your spouse, from your kids even, then, or some kind of negative circumstances, all that can create this fear in you where you start to develop an unhealthy thought pattern that you are going to be abandoned, you're going to be rejected, okay? And because of that, you start to live for the approval of others because you don't want to be rejected. You start having this orphan mindset, right? Someone said this one time, and he said, in order for you to have a victim mindset, you got to have had labeled someone else the assailant. Just think about that for a second. People who are victim-minded, they aren't just victim-minded because they chose to be victim-minded. We are all born to thrive in relationships, and we never want to be a victim-minded and isolated victim mindset. In fact, all of us will have some point in time chosen to be victim-minded. That's our nature. We tend to go towards that, but there's always a higher calling to be back in community, be back in a love-based community rather than being in a fear-based victim mindset. So if you had labeled someone else as an assailant, perhaps you've blamed this person, you have some bitterness and unforgiveness towards someone else, and at the end of the day, you have adopted this rejection type of fear, the fear of abandonment, you are actually now living under the approval of others. So a lot of psychologists and even in Christian circles, we call it fear of man, not just the gender man, but really fear of man is in human. And the understanding is that you're now living for the approval of others, and that's where it's the most dangerous part, because now you start to do things so that you can get approval of others. And that leads me to my second point about fear of failure, right? The fear of understanding that, okay, I need to live for the approval of others, so you're always afraid to fail. You know, when you do things out of love, you are actually doing things because you're motivated and inspired to serve others. However, if you have the fear of abandonment, fear of rejection coming from that victim mindset, that orphan mindset, you actually develop a fear of failure. And if you think in terms of what the science shows, when you have all these fears and you have it for a long time, that is fundamentally a breakdown in relationship with yourself. And when that happens, it starts to produce a chronic stress in your system. And guess what? The stress glands will actually affect your lungs. I mean, talk about an obstructive lung disease like asthma. You are really asking for trouble if your stress glands are constantly bombarded with thoughts. Okay, so going back to the framework, the 3T framework, the thoughts first, right? The thoughts of fear, the thoughts of abandonment, thoughts of rejection, all these things bombarding your mind silently, right? You're not screaming out those thoughts, you're actually thinking them, right? And as the proverb said, as you think in your heart these things, you will become. Okay, this is the principle for living, principle for life. If you think that always, and you have those thoughts unchecked, you know, no one actually checks on you, you're by yourself, you're not talking about it. Perhaps you're living in a society like Singapore, which is very performance-based, very meritocratic society where everything is based on merit, what you do, how you perform. Then you start to internalize these negative thoughts, and slowly but surely in your body, okay, it starts to create a negative stress reaction, causing your lungs to actually affect. So I won't get into the science about it, but just understand this is how treating the person with asthma looks like. Now, going into trauma, right? It's sort of a salient point, a relevant point to what I talked about with thoughts as the first T. The trauma are really unresolved trauma. So looking at what I talked about with relationships, when you are born on this earth, put on this earth for meaningful and thriving, healthy relationships, anytime any relationship turns sour, right? You start to have these different rejection, fear of abandonment, fear of the failure, fear of man that I mentioned earlier. So we really need to talk about the relationship assessment of your life. That means looking at what relationships really fell apart. And on this note, I talk about the fear, the relationship with yourself, and relationship with others. That is what you are put on earth to do, to serve others and to also have a healthy relationship with yourself as well. So anytime these two break down, you have opened the door to fear of abandonment, fear of man, fear of rejection, and of course, fear of failure as well. So when it comes to toxins, a lot of times as a doctor who specializes in holistic patient care, of course, and pastoral care as well, we have to talk about what to eat, foods as medicine, to really build up the lungs. Okay, and like I said earlier, scientific evidence show the great link or the great functional dependence of the lungs on your stress glands. The moment you're not having a good stress reaction, your lungs get affected. So when we want to fix someone's lung problems, like in asthma and obstructive lung disease, we need to fix the stress glands as well. So that's something that you want to also be aware of. Okay, so that is, in short, guys, the three T's: thoughts, traumas, and toxins. And you see, like I said earlier, a lot of you guys have this understanding that you gotta treat the person separately from the disease. And I just want to submit to you that you can actually do them both at the same time. You want to heal the person who has the disease so that the disease that person has can actually go away as the person gets more and more whole in their thoughts, whole in resolving traumas, and whole from eating well and stuff like that. Okay, so at the end of the day, guys, I want to provide a free 3T, thoughts, traumas, and toxins, free 3T interest call for you to take. So check the link down below if you are looking to read something that encapsulates what I talk about just now. There's a free ebook as well. So these are the 2 free resources that I want to give to you. Your next step after that will be to come in for a diagnostic 3T assessment. We actually go into a lot more detail regarding your asthma. So if you are thinking I need to take a bit of time to think about before I pay Dr. Ben, sure, go ahead and check out the free PDF titled 100% Healing for Any Disease, and specifically for you, asthma, right? And also the 3T interest call. You can book a link. You can book it on my calendar online. Okay, so I hope this blesses you. I hope this gives you clarity. And going forward, guys, I would love to be able to help you heal you that has the disease. Take care.